American workers clock out and sit down behind the wheel of their cars to drive home every evening.
We recognize that AM and FM radio has believed and been able to convince Congress that performers should not be compensated for their performances when done on terrestrial radio because, in fact, the performance is, in fact, a promotion for which no royalty should be paid. This flies in the face of virtually every other country in the world. Platinum albums and received 7 Grammy Awards, 11 Academy.
Clearly, the world has changed, and the question is how those changes impact the broader ecosystem. We know that as technology develops and industries evolve, statutory arrangements that at first worked for everyone begin to be less balanced.
Best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God.
What would sheet music sound like without a voice? And what would radio sound like without a song? This piece of legislation is essential to correct a 100-year-old issue regarding artists and non-payment for their work performed on the most prominent music platform in America, one of which they helped to build and sustain. My name is Mary Travis. I'm wife and voice of Randy Travis. I'm kind of like a bad version of AI, but with consent.
Mrs. Travis, I want to start by thank you for sharing your story.
The advent of streaming has all but replaced physical records and CD sales, and there are no guarantees that listeners are running out to buy concerts and T-shirts. Folks can hear all the music they want on demand for pennies a day. Of all the things that we do differently than we did a century ago, one thing remains the same, and that is that the voice is still the mandatory bridge between the writer and the listener. And it's time to do right by the ones that created that sound, that melody, that emotion that keeps the listeners coming back and the advertisers buying into radio. Passing AMFA bill would make many old wrongs finally right.
I think what is most difficult about these comparisons, even amidst drastic changes in the media landscape, broadcast radio continues to drive music discovery for both new musicians and legacy artists. Unfortunately, the so-called American Music Fairness Act would undermine our indispensable medium and this mutually beneficial relationship. AMFA would impose a new royalty on local radio that is financially untenable for broadcasters of all sizes.
They're here today. Very important discussion, tough discussion.
When you have creators like the great Randy Travis who pour their heart and soul into a beautiful piece of music, and you have another entity or set of entities making $15 billion off that music, we're just looking for a fair payment for that input.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download Metrotv Extend sekarang.